This is Benjamin Gadan. Welcome back to the Argentina Project podcast here at the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars. We are here to talk about gender issues in Argentina and some surprising developments that have occurred of late and some surprising champions for this issue who have emerged. It is International Women's Day. And so this is a relevant subject for us, but one we address regularly here at the Argentina Project. So Argentina in general has a, I think, deserved reputation for being at the forefront of efforts to increase female representation, at least in government. By law, a new law, women will make up half of all political party candidate lists by 2019. Already, women have held some of the highest positions in government, of course, including the presidency, the last president, the current vice president, and the current governor of the province of Buenos Aires. Female participation in Argentine politics, however, has not guaranteed gender equality in the Argentine workforce. Far from it. In Argentina, the pay gap, which we'll discuss, is one of the worst in the world. There's also a relatively low rate of female participation, at least in the formal sector in Argentina. So my question here for my guest, Jamie Shenk, is about President Mauricio Macri and his remarks on March 1st to the Argentine Congress at the beginning of the new session, where I think a lot of observers were surprised that these gender issues were central to his message. Jamie, tell me about it.
Thanks for having me, Benjamin. Yeah, so Macri really put women's issues kind of at the forefront of his political agenda for 2018 in his speech. The two main issues that he spoke about and addressed directly were the gender pay gap and the debate over legalizing abortion in Argentina.
Yeah, and so he spoke at some length on those issues, and again, they hadn't been central to his reform agenda going forward. And one might have thought, okay, so this is rhetorical and an opportunity to reach out to new constituency, but there's actual legislation that's been introduced on both issues. Let's start with the pay gap bill. What does it entail, and what are its prospects?
Right. So the law was first introduced in 2017, and Macri has recently gotten behind it. And what it would do is kind of create a database of wage differences, the difference in wages between the two genders in both the public and private sector. And the idea is to bring public attention to the issue of the gender pay gap in Argentina. So companies that have over 200 workers would be required to submit information about worker salaries, education level, bonuses, and why those bonuses were given out. And the idea is that that would then be used to both create reports on the issue and then also inform legislation and incentives for companies to close that gap.
And this wasn't an issue that was merely mentioned by the president in his speech. I think, again, on March 8th, the president got behind this legislation to give it an additional push. So he's taking it quite seriously, it would appear.
Yeah, so he said it makes no sense for women to be paid less than men. And wage equality is actually part of the Argentine Constitution. Article 14 specifically says that that workers need to be paid equally for equal work. So it's something that makes sense in this day and age.
Now, I mean, we should note, of course, this isn't just a phenomenon in Argentina. In the United States, there's a wage gap as well. I think it's, about 17%. But clearly here, the Argentines are addressing it. They're addressing another issue that's even more controversial, perhaps the most controversial issue in a country that is deeply Catholic and that produced the current pope, and that's abortion rights. Tell me what has been said by the president about the subject, what are his personal views, and what's his position on whether this should be addressed by the Congress?
Right. So in his address to Congress, Macri was very clear in stating his personal opinion, which is that he's pro-life. He doesn't believe in abortion, but he said that it's time that Argentina has a responsible and mature debate over the issue, and that's in reference to a law that's being debated right now in Congress on whether to legalize abortion within the first 12 weeks of pregnancy. So abortion right now in Argentina is illegal. But it is legal only in certain cases, including rape or when the mother's life is in danger. And the fact that this is being debated right now, and the fact that Macri got behind this debate is really important. His two predecessors had repeatedly blocked the debate by getting their congressional majorities to abstain, so that Congress couldn't reach a quorum to discuss. And public opinion has also shifted on the issue recently. So 44% of Argentines, actually more Argentines than not, believe that abortion should be legalized or that legalization should be expanded.
Now, it's been common in Argentina, and we'll end here, for political analysts to say this is an attempt to distract the public from some of the issues that have bedeviled the administration of late, that have dented the public approval. This was the December pension reform that proved unpopular. This was the labor reform that's proved difficult to advance. There were some corruption issues or allegations. I mean, is that fair to President Macri? Is your sense that he has some deeply held beliefs here that he is advancing? Or is this a gimmick? Does this make sense to reach out to some of the center left in Argentina? What's your political analysis?
I think there's some sense that it's a bit of a political game. Like you said, his approval ratings have dropped recently. But that said, the feminist movement in Argentina has really strengthened recently with the Ni Una Menos movement and then also the women's strike. So I think that even if there is a political side to it, a lot of credit has to be given to the feminist movement and what they've been able to do in pushing this women's rights and kind of gender issues to the forefront of the political agenda.
Yeah, and I think it was notable the number of signatories there were and co-sponsors for the legislation on abortion rights, which was far more than we've ever seen in any previous attempt to advance this. Jamie, Wilson Center researcher, thank you so much for joining the podcast again. It's always great to have you.
Thanks for having me.